Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going over breaking news that Governor of Massachusetts Charlie Baker will not be running for a third term in Massachusetts in the 2022 midterm elections. So this is obviously very big breaking news that has just come out probably about an hour ago, and from when I'm recording this. And Charlie Baker announcing not to run is definitely having some big ramifications on the 2022 midterms. And Charlie Baker has been governor. He won in 2014. I believe he defeated then Attorney General Martha Coakley at the time. And then he ran for re-election in 2018 against Jay Gonzalez and won handily. And 2022 is coming up. And the question was, would Charlie Baker run again? Because traditionally, not a lot of Massachusetts governors serve more than 2 terms. Deval Patrick, who also had a pretty high approval rating in Massachusetts, only served 2 before deciding not to run for re-election for the 3rd one. Massachusetts did not have term limits, so both Baker and Patrick could have ran for a 3rd term if they wanted to, but both chose not to. So it's very, very interesting news that's coming out of Massachusetts today, because Charlie Baker is without a doubt the strongest Republican in the state. And Charlie Baker is able to electorally win voters in both the Republican, Democratic, and Independent voting groups that not many other candidates, Republican or Democrat, in the state can do. So by Charlie Baker announcing he's not going to run, this is definitely a big blow for the Republicans' chances of winning the state of Massachusetts in 2022. Before I move on to the 2022 governor's race a little bit more in depth, I also want to mention that Lieutenant Governor Karyn Polito, who many people have speculated may run for governor if Charlie Baker does not, she also announced in a joint statement with Charlie Baker she will not be running. So both Baker and Polito, the governor and lieutenant governor, will not be running in 2022. So, with that said, now we go to the 2022 governor race page on Wikipedia. And on the Republican side, to me right now, this clears the pathway open for Geoff Diehl. Geoff Diehl announced he was running about, I think, a little over a month ago. Since he's announced, he's already got the endorsement of former President Donald Trump, and he's been performing very well in potential polling against Governor Charlie Baker if he did decide to run. In a recent poll released by Public Policy, Diehl got 50% of the vote, and Baker got 29% of the vote. So, if it was Diehl versus Baker, there's a real possibility Diehl would upset Baker in the primary anyway. So, maybe Charlie Baker saw the writing on the wall and decided it's not worth running again. Maybe he was leaning towards not running again anyway and just said, well, I can just step out now and not have to worry about it. But Geoff Diehl looks like will be the Republican nominee. As I mentioned, endorsed by former President Donald Trump. So in Massachusetts, it's really hard to win as a Republican when you're tied and openly support Donald Trump. And I don't think it's going to be, even in 2022, that's going to be able to help out Geoff Diehl all that much, to be honest. On the Democratic side, in my opinion, is where things get more interesting. You have 4 declared candidates right now. Three candidates who have been getting the most attention are Danielle Allen, who's a political science professor at Harvard, Sonia Chang Diaz, who's a state senator since 2009, and Benjamin Downing, former state senator from 2007 to 2017. Not to be rude to these candidates, but really, it's all about Maura Healey. Maura Healey is the Attorney General of Massachusetts, and she's the one that everyone in the state is waiting on to see what is she going to do. There was rumors that if Charlie Baker ran for re-election, it was very likely Maura Healey would not run, and she would run for Attorney General again. She got elected in 2014 and started serving in 2015, as did Charlie Baker, so she's been there the whole time Charlie Baker's been there. And it's very likely now that since Charlie Baker is not running, that opens the door wide open for Maura Healey if she wants to run for governor. As we know, though, in the last few weeks, politics can be very, very interesting. We saw Dr. Oz run for Senate, Charlie Baker not run for governor, Sean Parnell drop out in Pennsylvania. So many things can happen. Maybe Maura Healey decides, you know what, I'd rather just be Attorney General and I don't want to run for governor. I don't think she would do that, but maybe she does. Who's the Democrats' next plan? Well, then I think it goes to Joe Kennedy III, who ran for Senate in 2020 and lost in the primary against Ed Markey, the current senator. I think that if Maura Healey doesn't run for governor, I think Joe Kennedy is most likely the next man up. But if Joe Kennedy does decide to challenge Maura Healey if she does run, I don't think that would happen, but I think Maura Healey would win. So I think Joe Kennedy's kind of the plan B for Democrats right now at this time, with Maura Healey being the plan A. And lastly, now that we know that Charlie Baker will not be running, this race is most likely Geoff Diehl versus Maura Healey, in which case the Cook Political Report already has it as lean D, which is a flip. And we also have the inside elections as a battleground still. Sabado's Crystal Ball has it as a likely D to a flip rating as well. On the 2022 governor's map, I haven't updated it full yet because I'm going to do another 2022 map for the Senate and governorship because a lot of things have changed in the last few days. But I don't want to do it too soon because I know there are some other announcements of candidates I'm waiting to hear about. So I don't want to do things too quickly. But right now, Republicans, I think, will get likely or leaning 25 governorships, and winning Virginia was definitely a big help to them. Democrats will start off with at least 17 leaning or safe seats for them. And of the 8 battleground seats, the ones in yellow, these are the ones I think are really going to be close. Minnesota has the potential to go into the battleground column, but I'm not seeing it at this time. And Kansas, I also have lean red because I think that even though the incumbent governor is popular, I don't think that's going to be able to help her in a 2022 midterm that's going to heavily favor Republicans. But for now, I put Massachusetts in the battleground column because the uncertainty of what Governor Baker is going to do is really looming over the whole state. So now that Charlie Baker has announced he's not going to run, without Maura Healey running yet, I'm going to flip Massachusetts into the likely D column. I think that it's very possible that if Maura Healey does run, this could become a more than 20-point margin, or more than a 10-point margin, and it is a safe seat. But we're waiting on Maura Healey's decision. So for now, I think Massachusetts flips into the likely Democratic column. And with that, the Democrats gain one more governor seats and actually do flip a seat from the Republican side in 2022. So despite 2022 being a good year for Republicans, or it's supposed to be anyway, a lot of things in the past week or two have shown Democrats may be actually getting some pretty strong candidates in these races. So that's going to do it for today's video. Governor Charlie Baker is not running for re-election in the state of Massachusetts in 2022. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.